Hello everyone, and welcome to the Perl code along. Take the lens cap off so you can see. Uh, I've got code open on my scripting machine, and I've opened the code along, and I've opened tests because I'm going to use it to run bits and pieces of Perl code along, because it doesn't, you just can't run it in the terminal. Okay, starting out here, this is a shebang for Perl. This will have this run as a Perl program. So let me just start from the beginning here. Okay, or I have that. Okay, and you notice this equal begin here. This is the beginning of a multi-line comment. If you kind of scroll down here, you got a equal end. And then we will start the Perl code along. By the way, save this code along and review it before you use some of your other courses. You have some courses that you will use Perl in, and the professor was giving me a hard time because it doesn't seem like anybody remembers anything. So don't embarrass yourself and me. If you know that you're going to use Perl, look over your Perl syntax so you're familiar with it before the class. Okay, the official site for Perl, and this is part of my just deep enough methodology. It always is useful to know the official site. That way you can get the official word on it. We'll open that up real quick. Real quick, being a relative thing since we're running on an Ubuntu workstation, but this doesn't seem to be too bad. Okay, and this camel is for Perl. And this tells you all sorts of interesting things about it. This is the official site. Okay, the reference site, this is something that you, once you get into nuts and bolts of programming, and this one allows you to get into the specifics of it. Now, one thing nice about it, it's got a tutorial, and it'll actually take you through various parts of it, how to do things. And here's another tutorial reference. Let's see if it's the same one. It might not be. Okay, and this is something that if you're having problems with Perl, you might need to actually go through this tutorial and have me walk it through it. Okay. History. I had to go off of their official site for this. Okay, this was invented by Larry Wall. And this is a messy language. There's several ways to do anything you want to do, which makes it actually useful for programming a network, because it seems like you have to have several options. And you can go through here, and like I said, he was looking to find something that can kind of glue things together. And that's one of the common uses of Perl is you'll write a lot of your network scripts in Perl. And you might use also Python. But anyway, like I said, if you know that you will be working with Perl, you might want to look through your notes from this class. Okay, philosophy. This is always cute. And we'll bring this up. Okay, and this is what Larry Wall, the inventor of Perl, said about Perl. And he goes through, He goes through some of the problems he ran into, frustrations, and like a lot of computer languages, this was invented with his frustration with other languages. Anyway, it's worth a good cup of coffee or tea or whatever your favorite beverage is and browse it too. Alright, most of the IDE, the interactive development environments, they don't have something like idle for Python, or they don't have something like Dr. Racket for Racket, or Visual Studio Code works for PowerShell, but PowerShell actually has its own interpreter and its own IDE. This one does not have it. You can do the things about use a text editor and then run it in as a program. Okay, you have two directives. We will use both of those. Now, use strict -w and does not need to be used with warnings, because use strict -w involves using warnings. For programs you write for this class, you need to use both of these. Okay, we have various try-catch statements you can use for error handling, for those of you that are familiar with C. Okay, so at long last we get to our first actual programs. Let's start really simple. Let's talk about Barney. Okay, I'm going to go down a couple of lines to make sure that I can, since I will be redoing this several times. Okay, I'm hitting Control S. You notice the little dot up here disappears. Drop down here. Okay, /test.pl, and it should run. If it doesn't, if it's to give you something about security or it doesn't have rights, you need to use Gmod 755. Okay, here we go. Okay, and it says Barney. Okay, but it doesn't give me a return. Let's see if we can put that in here. No. Whoops. Okay, first of all, I'm going to start putting a slash in there. I think I know what's going to happen. We'll see what happens. We'll see if I'm right. What do you think will happen? Will it give me a return or not? Okay, we've saved it. Okay, it just said Barney/n. That's because if you use single quotes, it takes it literally. If you want to do an interpolation, you have to use double quotes. You also have to do the same thing if you want to put a variable and have it print out the variable, rather than you have to do splice it in with plus signs and all that good stuff. Okay. There you go. Alright. So we declared a variable and we had it printed. Let's get a little more fancy. Okay, notice here I've got the double quotes, and that works with the line return to drop it down to the next line. This is how you get something from the standard in input. There's also a standard out, by the way. Okay, Control S. Drop down here. Says input a name. I like Fred. Says hello Fred. Okay, so we declared variables. We asked for input. Okay, Boolean, it has extended operators. It has a lot of things you can do to check whether this is true and that is true. And they also have the thing of truthiness. And basically, if something is not empty, it's true. Okay, we have the string that says this statement is false, and they'll print it out. Then they'll say if $string. Now what happens, this is the contents of the variable called str. And notice I don't say if it's equal to something or if it's this, I just say if. So this is either got to be true or false. So what do you think is going to happen? Let's see. Said the last statement is true. Okay, so it thinks that's true because it's not empty. Now, I won't dwell on the philosophical implications of this. You can figure that out for yourself. Okay. Okay, we have Okay, that's a misprint. That should be equal versus double equal. And you know, okay, now watch this. That I believe if I hit Control S, okay, it says I got a change here. And what I'm doing here is I'm keeping my source code current, and I'm saying this is a typo. And I'm going to commit and push it up to my code repository, which is not the same as the one you pulled from. I got to remember to take and do a pull request over, just like you have to do for my class. Okay, it's syncing the changes. Okay, and it's all ready. Alright, so we want to do equal versus double equal versus EQ. That's one of the things we looked at for bash. And I'm going to copy and paste. Okay, and I have here that I set $A equal to 1, and if A equals 1 but double equals, say welcome to the Perl if tutorial. If not, it will not have you do it. Okay, I'll hit Control S, run it. Okay, and it says V equals 1, print it out. Alright. This was fun. Let's run this again. Okay, and I have something here because what happens here is I don't have the double, I have a single equal, and this is kind of a gotcha because watch what it does. Okay, we'll save and we'll run. Okay, and it said variable changed to 40. So what happened was this was supposed to be 1, and this was meant to check to see if it's equal to 40, and it changed it to 40. You're saying, okay, how can we make sure that doesn't happen? We got to remember that all the time? No, not exactly. Watch this. I'll put my strict and my warning there. Put some space so I'll remember not to overwrite it. Hit Control S. Okay, look what it did. It said found the equal and conditional should be double equal. It said, hey, you might want to take a look at this. So that's why you need to do strict and warnings. Okay, there's also strict, and there's also a -W flag that you can put on the shebang. You don't need this, and this are the same. So if you have both of them, I'm going to dock you some points for being a little redundant and not being efficient. Okay, you have various try-catch statements for error handling. You can look at those on your own. Okay, so I've gone through. Got strings. Okay, we got the double A. Okay, here's back where we were. That's where we have the double equals. Okay, strings, you got the reference, and you got two references here that you can go through. You got file input output. That's important. Okay, this is my file name. What I'm going to do is I'm going to have it actually print out the code along file. Okay, don't overwrite my strict and warning because it comes in handy. Okay, this is the file. It's in the same directory. See, it's right there. It says open or die, and there's your delimiter there. And FH stands for file handle. File handle is an opening to a path to a file, or it's a way of accessing a file. And here's a while, and basically it goes while there's more information and while there's more lines printed out. And here's where you close it out because you always want to close it out. Let's see now. I did save this, so it should work. Okay. Let's see what I copied wrong. Okay, somehow I picked up another quotation mark here. And it tells you about it, tries to be helpful about it. Okay, there we go. It took off. Okay, and this is basically the rest of the file that it took off. Okay, so that works. So that's how to do file input output. Okay, and we're right at 15 minutes, so I am going to end here, and I will come back with Perl Code Along Part 2. Thank you for listening.